You would have had to re-sign those guys if they didn't get it done during the regular season.
And they all would have been, every single one of them would have been more expensive. Every single one of them.
Probably right. So, I just ran down a list of about 8 or 9 Eagles starters. Which one is Howie going to lean on? Which one is he going to try and do first? Which one does he take the John McMullen suggestion and say, get it done now, because if I wait, it'll be more expensive down the road? You got the Mac and Mac guys here on Birds 365. John McMullen Jody McDonald. Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Daily News and WIP is going to hop aboard about 20 minutes from now, somewhere thereabouts. Get Marcus up a little earlier than usual in hour number 2. Looking forward to talking to him. All right, Johnny Mac. When we had Seth Joyner on with us yesterday, did a great job, by the way. Thank you very much, Seth. We had him on for almost 40 minutes.
Could have been much longer.
Right. If we had the capabilities of doing so, we would have kept them for an hour and 40 minutes. But the show is only so long, and Ricky Saratella jumps up after us. In those 40 minutes, 6 questions?
Maybe.
I think between the two of us, maybe we asked.
Maybe.
Seth he's just so great. You set him up.
Wind him up and let him go.
And let him go. And he did a great job with us yesterday. I hope all of those of you who streamed in yesterday enjoyed listening to Seth. One guy that he was specifically bullish on was Kaiser White, that he likes what he's seen.
Said he's going to make the Pro Bowl.
That's a major step up, and if that happens, that will be great news for the Philadelphia Eagles and their defense this year. Kaiser White, James Bradbury, Miles Sanders, Javon Hargrave, Marcus Epps, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Maybe even you throw a Brandon Graham in there. There's a whole bunch of guys whose contracts end at the end of this season, Johnny Mac, who are starting for the Philadelphia Eagles or are going to be starting for the Philadelphia Eagles. One of Howie Roseman's traits, and it's a good one, and oh, by the way, I give you credit because you kept pounding on this last year, and you were so right. When the Eagles got to free agency, they made the big signing with Hassan Reddick, and then there was a little time that had to go by because there's ebbs and flows to free agency, and Howie knows how to play those waves and jump in when he should, aggressive when he has to, patience when he needs to. But not enough people were giving him credit for Goddard, Mailata, Maddox. 3 really big signings that he made in season. And Josh Sweat, thank you. Right. All 4 of those guys, all in season. And people just gloss over that doesn't count. Well, that could have been a free agent signing. You would have had to re-sign those guys if they didn't get it done during the regular season.
And they all would have been, every single one of them would have been more expensive. Every single one of them.
Probably right. So I just ran down a list of about 8 or 9 Eagles starters. Which one is Howie going to lean on? Which one is he going to try and do first? Which one does he take the John McMullen suggestion and say, get it done now, because if I wait, it'll be more expensive down the road? Who is the Eagle that gets signed to a contract extension in season, and how early is early?
Well, it starts this week, right? That's when Jordan Mailata signed the day before the start of the regular season, signed his extension. I believe it was
Was it before the first game?
Yeah, the day before.
Wow, I'd forgotten that.
The rest of the guys were in season. Goddard being the latest, I believe. It might have been Maddox. They signed almost
that was Maddox
at the same
first.
time.
Yeah, just slightly before.
So it's a little bit different this year because that year was all the same draft class, second-year extensions. So you look at that, second contract extensions, extending guys. You look at the important players this year. It's either the prove-it guys and Bradbury. Look, Bradbury's going to wait because if Bradbury plays well, he's going to cash in big. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. Him. Kaiser got a really weak deal, to be honest. That could be in
weak for him, good for the Eagles.
Weak, yes, weak for him. Yeah, very good for the Eagles. He could be a candidate if he plays well early in the season, much like Tim Jernigan back in the day. In the Eagles extended him in season, didn't work out, but it didn't work out for injury perspectives. Tim was playing really well, then he just got hurt, and he had a bunch of bad luck after that. That could be the Kaiser White road. As far as the two younger guys, I would look at Epsy and TJ Edwards. I think Nakobe Dean complicates TJ a little bit. They might want to wait a little bit while to see if he can do it again. But we'll see. And those guys would make sense. The most difficult ones are Javon Hargrave and Miles Sanders. We've talked about Miles a lot. I just don't think the Eagles want to pay him, pay the position, not just Miles Sanders, a second level contract if he plays well. So, what is the path to Miles Sanders re-signing with Philadelphia? I don't think it's a good one. I think the only way he comes back to Philadelphia if he gets hurt again and the Eagles get him at a really cost-effective deal and they say, well, let's try it again. And they get him on a 1-year, very cost-effective deal. If he plays well, if he plays really well, finally turns into the player a lot of people thought he could be, he's going to be too expensive. If he plays poorly, you don't want him. So that's a tough one. Javon, he's 30. He's going to cost a lot of money. You have Fletcher Cox on the Jason Kelsey plan now as well, basically year to year. So to me, it comes down to who plays better. Who do you want next year, Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargrave? Brandon wants to be here at his age, 34, coming off an Achilles. Can you just say, I'm going to give him another year? I guess it would have to be a very, very cost-effective number. Not point I'm trying to make with all these names, not as obvious as last year. It was obvious last year, Jody. You got to get Jordan extended. You got to get Josh extended. You got to, most importantly at the time, Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox as well. Those were all obvious extension candidates, and they got them all done. They deserve credit for it. Not as obvious this time around. If you can get Marcus Epps, if they're right on Marcus Epps, and they're so high on Marcus Epps, I think, it's gotten to the point where Jonathan Gannon spoke yesterday. By the way, I got to get into that, Jody. What a disaster those 3 press conferences were. But anyway.
Why? Because they're following the leader and refusing to answer questions. We need a competitive advantage against the Detroit Lions. Is that why you're a little put off, Johnny?
Yes. Nick, loosen the reins. My God, everybody knows what you're doing. Nobody cares.
The Detroit Lions care, apparently, and he's not giving them any
know what he's
insight.
doing. It's not a competitive advantage, but that's my own pet peeve. So Gannon had about 15 questions. I don't think he got asked about Marcus Epps. I was about to ask him about Marcus Epps and they cut it off. Nobody even talks about the guy because he's become this constant. I don't know if we're skipping steps again with Marcus Epps, but everybody seems to love him. He might be the one guy. Let's get in on the ground floor early and let's get that done. And everything's about evaluation, obviously. So that's what it's about.
It is tougher this year because the 4 guys that they got done were all Eagle drafts who were going on to their second contract. They fit a very tight mode of we picked them, we liked them, we were right about them, now we have to pay them. There really isn't. The guy who fits that mode more than anybody else is Miles. And let me play a little devil's advocate against you for your narrative of it doesn't look good for Miles getting signed, which I can't just dismiss. You're probably right, but I'll take the other side for a second. He gets off to a good start. Not a great start. I'm not saying he cracks the top 5 running backs in the NFL for the first 6 weeks. I'm not going to go that crazy because, I think the Eagles are going to try and throw the ball more than they did last year. But I think Miles is going to get his fair share of carries if he's healthy, which we're told he is. Was that another state secret yesterday? Whether Miles Sanders
he's healthy. He's back at practice.
Really?
I've been telling
you
people
sure about that? Because they don't like to let you guys see, or they don't like to give out any information.
Well, I'll give you an example. Last week on Thursday, Nick Sirianni, I think it was our buddy Tim McManus who asked him about Miles, and Nick said, wait for the injury report, something of that nature. I don't want to get in. I don't want to put timetables on that. 10 minutes later, Jody, we're on the practice field. There's Miles Sanders practicing, dancing with Jalen Hurts, completely fine, 100%. There's an example of Nick Sirianni. I hope you're listening. 10 minutes later, we see it for ourselves. There is no competitive advantage. Drives me insane.
I would tend to agree with you. I feel the same with you on that. But let's say Miles is in the top 10 of rushing in the NFL, 6 weeks in, and the Eagles are running the ball when they running it effectively and mostly with Miles. The offense is going the way they want. They're throwing it more than they did last year. Last year, 54%. I got the number written down here. It was 53 and change to 46 and 47 and change. They threw the ball less percentage-wise of plays run than anyone in the National Football League. 32nd in the amount of passes that they threw as compared to running plays in the entire league last year. That's going to change this year. So Miles isn't going to be busting out, breaking into the top 5. But let's say he's in the top 10. And the Eagles are running it less. And Miles is playing well. And, oh, by the way, he's healthy for every single snap for the first 6 games. Does Howie at least engage with his agent? Does he say, listen, we're not going to make Miles a top 3, 5, 10 back. But here's a good above the median per average year salary scale for a guy like Miles Sanders with some pretty good guaranteed money. Do they at least have that conversation to see if Miles wants to stay in Philadelphia? Or does Miles' agent, they have the conversation, Miles' agent goes, no, I'm doing well. I'm taking this to free agent. I'm going to go let the market be set by the entire National Football League. Is there not a chance for a conversation if Miles is playing well and staying healthy for the first quarter to half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, Howie's always going to have the conversation, but Howie's going to try to get it at under market value. So, yeah, I mean, the real question is, does Miles have a bad agent? I mean, if he has a really bad agent, he's willing to take under market value in that type of instance. Sure, the Eagles will jump on that. I just can't see it happening. That's why I said if he plays well.
Let me ask you a question. And I know you had a good, stated this earlier. Those guys that signed last year, there's a chance that, I don't know if Sweat would have gotten more. Because he didn't exactly kill it in the second half of the season. Mailata did. Maddox was probably Maddox. Howie didn't rob anybody blind last year.
He robbed Mailata blind. He robbed Mailata blind. At that position, he robbed him blind. Dallas Goedert.
Mailata was a 7th round pick.
I'm telling you, if he would have hit free agency, Jody, I mean, Sweat as well at his age. Now, you know what? With Sweat more because of the injuries, because of the knee, maybe we'll put him to the side. They all would have got more money, all of them, even Sweat. But there's at least a little bit more concern. And that's why the Eagles do it the way they do it. If you look at the top paid running backs, you can forget McCaffrey and Elliott and Kamara and Cook and Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. I'm looking at the top. These are the top paid. 7 is Aaron Jones, $12 million average annual value. Joe Mixon's 12. Saquon, it really drops off between Joe Mixon and Saquon.
Right.
Which is still 7.8. And then Nyheim Hines, right? All right, good player. Miles could be Nyheim Hines, not from a pass catching perspective, but from an overall value perspective. He's at 6.2. The Eagles aren't paying 6.2 at running back. They're just not. They just don't value the position. They don't value the position. And I think Miles knows that. Miles' agent certainly knows that.
But let me ask you a question, John. Who in the league is going to?
Oh, there's always somebody, because there are teams that, and that's why you have those names. I just mentioned the names, right? McCaffrey, now he's been injured.
He's not going to be any of those guys. He's not going to be Christian McCaffrey.
But there's
McCarr,
always
Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb or maybe Aaron Jones. That's the first one that you come to. You go, all right, Miles could be him, but that's 7 deep, and now you're already down. Well, there's a couple of guys that are overpaid. Yeah, you're probably right. If Aaron Jones is making $12 million, why can't Miles Sanders think that I can make $12 million too?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's 7 guys, so there's at least 7 teams willing to go to that level. That there's always teams that say, all right, I don't have a great quarterback, so maybe I have to go a different route and build around a great running back. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to say Miles Sanders is a great running back. I certainly wouldn't. I think he's a good player. But you have, of those top, it really gets to 6. McCaffrey was great before the injuries. Elliott was great. He's not now. Kamara's great. Cook's great. Henry's great. Chubb's great. And Jones is probably the demarcation line, very good, but he's probably not in their category. But he's still very good. Mixon, same. I would put him there as well. Saquon's more to do with being the 2nd overall pick, which is just a horrific decision by the Giants.
Which, by the way, if they hit the market together, who's going to get a better contract, Saquon or Miles?
Depends on who plays well this year. They're both, Saquon's been so injury prone as well. Saquon's got more talent. Saquon's incredibly talented.
Former teammates that will be trying for that same big hunk of pie this offseason. Good luck to both of them, because, how they play this year will probably decide who's going to get the most money. All right, John McMullen, Jody McDonald here with you on Birds 365. We see Marcus Hayes prepping to jump aboard and join us today. He's up next here on Birds 365.